For 2023, you can expect the GASB to issue one new standard on risk disclosures, one update to our implementation guide, and an exposure draft on non-financial assets. Please, I want you to know that we understand when we update GAAP, when we change or modify or make additions to GAAP, we're imposing a burden on all of our stakeholders. We understand that burden. We understand that our stakeholders are dealing with workforce shortages and have many of things to work on. But when we take on projects, when we add a project, we do expect it to have a meaningful improvement to government financial reporting.
So Joel mentioned some projects that the board intends to issue during 2023. The first of which is a final standard on certain risk disclosures. What the board is trying to accomplish in that project is to provide some context around risks that governments might face. We've limited to two types of risk, one being a concentration, such as a principal employer, another being a constraint, such as a cap on property tax. And the disclosure criteria in the standard speak to when a government has that condition, when they have events that might affect that condition, and then finally when the impact to those events and that condition would be substantial to that government. We hope to issue this statement at the end of 2023. The second project the board hopes to complete this year is an implementation guide update. Included in this update are 6 questions on leases, 3 questions on SPIDAs, a question on Statement 100 accounting changes and error corrections, and a technical correction. The board hopes to have this project finished in June of 2023. The final document the board intends to issue this year is an exposure draft on the classification of non-financial assets. It is intended to talk about the presentation of non-financial assets in the basic financial statements. This project is not intended to do a recognition and or measurement.
In addition to those new standards, you can expect during the first half of the year for us to conclude our research on capital asset accounting, and in the second half of the year conclude our post-implementation review of the pension standards. For both of those projects, the board will evaluate the results from the research and from the post-implementation review and decide whether a standard setting project is warranted for capital assets or different aspects of capital assets like infrastructure, and whether a standard setting project is warranted to make some or any improvements in the pension accounting standards. Additionally, we continue to focus resources internally on monitoring what's going on with the evolution of government financial reporting and the use of technology. We want to understand how technology is changing how consumers of government financial information ingest that information, and make sure that we're still achieving our mission and making sure that users are getting the right information to make decisions. We also have several internally focused efforts. These include continuing to engage with our stakeholders in new ways, like the electronic input form to make it easier for stakeholders to provide us feedback. We've replaced our underlying publishing platform, which won't have significant impact on our stakeholders, but should improve the searchability of our online research tool. And finally, we're starting a new podcast series this year to engage with our stakeholders called Bridging the Gap, in which the FASB and the GASB will have different episodes talking about our activities.